going down. And that is also when I say that Bitcoin has a limited cap. I also feel that sometimes it's not really true anymore with all the forks. And this is something we also have to keep in mind. It's not set in stone, really, if you
I
have many different Bitcoins.
so I think that the bubble is over, and I think the bubble will come back in a couple years. But for right now, it's done. There ain't no more greater fools. Everyone's grandparents are in. Everyone's parents are in. Everywhere you go, people are talking about it. Everyone that has got money is in. Now, there was one thing that was going to make us go higher, and that was Wall Street, right? So my thesis was we're going to get in before Wall Street, and Wall Street's going to get in with their futures before Main Street and Joe Blow can get in with an ETF, right? So we're going to get in, and then the futures, and then the ETF, right? But what happened was everybody got in, including Wall Street, through the OTC desks. Everybody bought the price up, no volatility, straight up, right? Very little volatility. Now we're doing this. But a couple months ago, we were just doing this. Nope, like very little volatility. So everybody got in, everyone bought the rumor, and then the news came. And then the futures actually launched. Didn't do much volume. And everyone dumped hard, super dumped it, right? And if you draw a chart now, like if you take the CME futures and you just chart it, it just straight line down. It's it's terrible. It's the worst. 20K. It was higher. Like in Korea, it was $26,000. No more premium in Korea now. Korea is actually at a minus. It's at a deficit now. You can buy Bitcoin cheaper in Korea. You can buy Bitcoin cheaper in Australia than you can in the West now. But a couple weeks ago, they had multi-thousand-dollar premiums, right? So you went from a $26,000 Korean Bitcoin to a $7,500 Bitcoin. And my calculation was slightly wrong. I didn't know that it could dump so fast, so hard when the news was so good. We got SegWit, we got Lightning, we got all this great stuff, and Wall Street's just not buying, right? So TD Ameritrade listed it. No one's buying. CME, CBOE listed it. No one's buying. Well, if Wall Street ain't going to buy it and they're going to sell it instead because they already bought it, well, who the fuck's left to buy it? Nobody, right? That's it, right? Like you see Venezuela. Venezuela going to buy Bitcoin? No, Venezuela's launched an ERC20 token on Ethereum, right? So Venezuela ain't buying Bitcoin. Well, who the fuck's going to buy it then, right? And that's the reason the price dropped 2/3. And I don't really know where the floor is because I don't. What am I going to use it for? What am I going to use Bitcoin for? Can't launch my token with it. Can't pay my rent with it. What am I going to do with it? You
So,
send it to your bank to shut your fucking bank account off.
so I would say that I would say that maybe we'll have a few years to go still with this bubble we're talking about. I mean, you of
With
course see
no
that.
Facebook ads and no ads in China and, like, the SEC doing meetings on shutting it down and, like, dude, the only hope we had to maintain the mania was Wall Street, and Wall Street told us to fuck ourselves. There ain't nobody left, and there ain't no good news left either. Like, what's the good news we're gonna get? We got Lightning already. We got SegWit already. Bcash already died already, right? It went up to half or, and then died, and now it's crappy, right? What's left? And why aren't we
Well,
gonna get the flippening? Why isn't Ethereum gonna flip it in Bitcoin now?
Well,
It should.
when it
Well,
comes to SegWit and Lightning, technologies are online, but they're not really used. So potential good news could be that more and more businesses actually use them. I mean, Coinbase doesn't use SegWit. Many businesses don't use SegWit because it's hard to implement for them still. There's just no value in doing it currently, and so they don't do it. But the other thing is, the other thing that many people don't haven't discovered cryptocurrencies yet. There are many young people who are now talking about it, but when we're talking, if you compare it to dot-com bubble or to Tulip Mania, I think we're too far from there. Many people don't know what things are besides Bitcoin, and they've only heard about Bitcoin on the television and heard that it is a scam. Soon they will learn that Bitcoin has actual use case when it comes to hyperinflation, when it comes to those other countries. You say that Venezuela is using a ERC20 token, this petroleum cryptocurrency. That is the government that is doing it. I mean,
Yeah.
the citizens, they don't care about this government token. I
Their
mean,
citizens use shitcoins, by the way, more than they use Bitcoin. And by the way, Lightning runs on other tokens too. It doesn't just run on Bitcoin. You can run Lightning on whatever the fuck you want. It's open source.
but I'm talking about the whole ecosystem as a whole, not particularly Bitcoin, but that the whole ecosystem has still room to grow before we see a huge collapse across the board, which I think will happen in a few
Down
years.
65%. What the fuck are you talking about? It's done. Like there is no before huge collapse. Like look at the fucking chart. We're fucked. We're fucked. Like the bubble's over, dude. 65% is a huge fucking collapse.
But I
Like
mean, we were
what?
at what I mean is that we were at 8-9 thousand in December, November, December, and then we
Yeah.
had this huge spike, and now we're back at. So it's not that we were confirmed at those highs. It's not that this was a stable high and then it
So
crashed.
you're
It was
saying we can go farther down, I assume?
further.
We didn't go
I,
far
I
enough? I
I
mean,
think that my personal opinion that we can go further upwards before we have a collapse that is beyond, that is way more significant than what we have seen up until now.
if another Asian country FOMOs and does what Korea did, like here's the problem, right? The reason that all these bubble collapses look the same across all industries is because they all fail in the same way. People bought because the price was going up. That's the only reason they bought, is because the price was going up. And then it goes down enough that people are like, oh, okay, well, that sucks. Well, let's buy the dip. Then they buy the dip. And then you retrace 75%, right? So you go to your peak, then you drop, and then you retrace 75%, and everyone's like, oh, back to normal. And then you start dropping a little slower, and people buy the dip and get liquidated. And they buy the dip and they get liquidated. And they buy the dip and they get liquidated. And then they're like, wait a second, something's wrong here. I keep getting annihilated. And every single bubble chart looks the exact same. Exponential, blow off top, 75% drop, back to normal, anxiety, denial, disbelief, fear, capitulation, bull trap, and then you do the whole thing over again. And there, I don't care how much adoption you find, it will never equal the same rate at which we grew in the past. So if you can't equal the same rate, you just basically have like your boat has a giant hole in it and you have a bucket and your bucket's your adoption, right? So you've got a football sized hole in your rowboat and you've got your bucket of adoption and you're like, yo, we got new users. We got new users. But the 20 zillion billion guys that got in no time that are dumping on us now, you can't get enough adoption to keep the water out and you just sink. And it happens in every single bubble. There's no way, like, you could get everyone in the world to start using Lightning, the price will push down harder in the slow and midterm because it makes it easier to spend, but not easier to buy. So now, like, even if you get Lightning adoption and you make it easier for people to spend, now you're hoping that people don't spend these Bitcoins that aren't useful for any fucking other thing. And, you hope they don't dump them. Please don't dump them, even though we made it even easier for you to dump them by increasing the places you can spend them. Please buy more, replace them, right? It doesn't work. That's the reason all bubble pops look the same. Because even if you get adoption and even if things look good, it can't come close to canceling out the dumping pressure from the bazillion people that just got in. That's why you need more greater fools to keep the mania going. It's, every bubble looks the same and every
Yeah,
bubble crashes the same.
I agree with you on that. I think the timing perspective is what we disagree upon, and it will be interesting to see the future how it plays out. But
How will
so
you know? How will you know if the bubble's not over? You need to get above resistance and hold there for a while, right? So if you look at the trend line, 9,200 was the previous old resistance, and we had a lot of volume there. And we just got over it yesterday, and we tried to hold over it. Couldn't do it. Died. So if you want to see a bull market again, what you need to do is get over a shelling point, get over some resistance to say, this is the line in the sand. We're not going under this, and stay there and go up for a while. But every time we get to resistance, if we're even lucky enough to get back up to it, we fucking capitulate and die straight down. So I'll be a bull as soon as I see anything that looks bullish.
So
Right now,
would you say that we're in the same position as we were in 2000, early 2014, late 13, and we'll have a
it's slightly
bear market for several years?
it's it's slightly different because that bubble was more artificial than this bubble. So that bubble had Willie Bot on Mt. Gox buying coins with invented free money, stealing customer money to buy coins. So Mt. Gox's Willie Bot buying coins with money it didn't really have made that bubble a little higher than it should have been. This time, the shape is just about identical. Everyone
And we
got,
have Tether.
man, I I tell people that Tether sucks, but normal exchanges suck too. But in reality, is it such a great defense that something else sucks too, right? Like let me give you an example about Tether. Let's say that all the money's in the banks, okay? And no one's having any problems withdrawing it. And everything's legit. Totally legit. When people start to withdraw it, you know what the bank's going to do? The bank's going to find a reason that they don't like you anymore. We got a letter from some regulator in Lithuania, and he doesn't really like that the Lithuanian citizens have not been paying their taxes. So we kind of got to seize these funds because we got this letter, right? So I don't give a shit whether you, as a Bitcoin company, have a bank account with a bank and all the money's there. When you start to withdraw enough of it, the bank's going to turn you the fuck off because they prefer to keep that money. That's the reason they're working with you in the first place. The only banks that'll work with a Bitcoin company without a New York license are shitty banks that aren't making any money. Because why would they risk their reputation to work with this shady stuff unless they were making some money and needed it, right? And then as soon as their bank relationships get threatened and their upstream banks are like, yeah, we're not going to process your wires to New York anymore. They're not going to get cleared anymore. Do you like sending wires to New York? You do? Okay, well, you're going to turn off Bitstamp's account or you're going to turn off Bitfinex's account, right? So, I mean, if you wanted a bank, if you wanted a Bitcoin counterparty that's probably the one to withstand bank shutoffs the most, it's going to be one with a New York license because at least they could go, hey, look, the government said we were cool. Please get us an account. Please, please. Right. That's the reason these guys have already been through 10 or 20 accounts because the banks keep shutting them off. Right. So, if even if Tether's 100% legit, it don't mean they have access to the money because as soon as they try and withdraw enough of it, there's going to be a problem. Then the money's
Mhm.
going to stop coming out.
And so
So,
if we take this situation into account, both with the theories that maybe they don't cover 100% of the tokens, and as you mentioned, they might have problems withdrawing the dollars, how would you say this bear market will play out compared to the last time in 2013?
dude, the chart looks real similar to me. It's worse actually. It's worse actually. If you go onto tradingview.com and you click the interactive chart on BTC USD, and then you click on the top left, there's a button like 3 or 4 or 5 down, and then you click it and you drop down to bars. Okay, you click your chart and you click the beginning of your old bubble, the end of your old bubble, and then you can drag it to today. So you can take the old bubble and you can drag it right over today. Make sure you've got log clicked in the bottom right so that it makes up for the number difference, right? And we recovered a lot faster in the 2014 bubble than we did today. This recovery is dog shit. This ain't. It's the worst. It's worse than that. It's over. And if you don't believe it, go grab the old bubble, use the bars tool, drag it over, and you can see it for yourself. It's fucked. Every time I post it, I lose a lot of Twitter followers. All my Twitter followers love me for my Bitcoin maximalism. And now that I'm not a Bitcoin maximalist anymore, and I think the price is going down, fucking hate me. Hate me.
So have you
And
sold all your Bitcoin then? Or
unfortunately, I haven't because I'm stupid. I'm a fucking idiot. So I've lost a lot of money because in my whole life from 2011 till now, I just found it very hard to part with these things. Like I ain't gonna say I want to cry, but this has been very bad, right?
Mm.
Like I really liked Bitcoin, and it's not cool. I don't want to see it die. So you just wait. You just wait 2 years.
Mm. But